Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Los Andes, finally playing the Tier 9 new Pan-American battleship. These tech tree battleships are absolutely insane. We've already gone over both the Tier 8 and the Tier 10 multiple times. This thing is also incredibly powerful. This is not a situation of the Tier 8 and 9 being unfortunate, we'll say, to grind through to get to the all-powerful Tier 10. No, this is going to be great all the way through. I think you're going to want to keep all of these ships, to be honest with you, just to have them as an option in Tier 8, Tier 9, or Tier 10 ranked seasons. They're going to absolutely dominate in those game modes. They're also very, very capable in random battles. That's where I've been playing them, and I think this playstyle of pushing in is not really the meta. I think that's safe to say these days, as everybody tends to camp the back of the map, with good reason, as you often just die pushing in. That's how it goes in this game. Doesn't matter what you're playing or who you're fighting, you're always going to be at a disadvantage when pushing, and at a massive advantage when you're kiting away. These battleship lines are kind of overpowered, right? Let's be honest, they are incredibly strong. They take most of the tankiness of the Kremlin line, the Russian battleships, and combine that with most of the DPM of the Schlieffen German battlecruiser line on those secondaries. That's quite a potent combo, but it really depends on Wargaming's goal here. Are they wanting a new, somewhat balanced, fits into the meta battleship line, or are they wanting this line to be able to push in and shake up the meta a bit? Then it kind of needs to be overpowered. I don't know if that's a hot take, but it feels to me like if we want a battleship line to be able to push in and not feel like it's just throwing its ship away and honestly just hurting your team just by pushing in, you need it to be almost overpowered, don't you, to actually make that playstyle viable in random battles. That said, it doesn't mean it's fun to fight against, of course, right? But that's kind of where my thoughts are at right now when it comes to this new battleship line. If we want that as a playstyle, battleships pushing in, they kind of need to be this good, don't they? Although, Torps, man. The bane of this line, let's be honest. No hydro is a massive pain point. Finally taking out the Algerie here. The main guns on this ship are not very good. You only get 381mm guns. Not great accuracy, pretty low alpha damage on the AP. Buffalo, for example, with its 27mm of armor, will just auto-bounce all of our AP at this angle. Maybe we should be using HE. We'll look at that a little bit later in this video. North Carolina, about to walk out broadside, and I just also want to note how much damage some of these salvos will do to the Buffalo with those secondaries. Broadside NC, 5 kilometers, 8,000 damage. Little disappointing, I think it's safe to say there. Maybe I misaimed. We are going to have some good salvos, though, in this video, but I just want to point it out that, yes, there's a lot of good here, but the guns are not one of those strong points. I think these are very, very weak, inconsistent main guns. We're living on like 1,000 HP. Heal is up at the moment. Barely surviving. Buffalo gets a fire. We have our damage control available. And 6,000 HP left. We do get one of the buffs, though, from our commander, allowing us to retain 20% of our combat instructions, which are incredibly powerful with this line. And that is my last heal used, by the way. Completely used up. We should finish off this NC here. And you'd think we're going to be dead rather quickly. But what if I told you we have yet to do all of our damage in this game? In fact, we're going to over double the amount of damage I have currently. And we have no HP left. We have 7,000 HP left. Yeah, it's going to be another one of these games where we just show off the absolute absurdity of the tanking potential of the Los Andes here. As well as getting just unbelievably lucky. You know, if your main guns are bad, just dev strike them with a secondary detonation into a heavy cruiser at your same tier. Just do that, guys. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, that poor Buffalo. Detonation's a very, very unfun mechanic, of course. Now, we do have to deal with this destroyer as well, and oh man, some of the damage on these salvos. That was 1k from our secondaries. Here's 900, 3,000 from that salvo. Absolutely ridiculous, these secondaries. Speaking of secondaries on this ship, we should probably talk about their DPM. Hitting DPM at 10 kilometers is okay, only 37,000. That puts you pretty low, actually, right? You're below things like Jean Bart. You're below Massachusetts at that point as well. But that's not taking into account all the extra buffs this ship can get. Not only the combat instructions, but also this commander. Also, just being able to pen 59 millimeters with the large caliber secondaries here means that hitting DPM translates to damage, where a lot of the time, a lot of these other secondary battleships only are going to pen superstructures, for example. No clue why this Iowa didn't shoot me. Thank you very much. Your check will be in the mail. And we do finish him off for our Kraken. Good salvo, right? It can happen. It's possible. It's possible. No, I'm just kidding. No paid actors here, okay? We're not about that. As much as it may look like that, not happening here. Sinop, very scary target to deal with. Tier 7, of course. We are fully as the top tier, beating up on the poor lower tier ships in this game, and some overmatch there into the Sinop, fortunately getting us some decent damage. I popped my combat instructions here too early. I assumed I was gonna die, so I just wanted to get the extra little bit of damage out, but looking back on it, if I had known I would have lived, again, probably save those combat instructions for the extra range in this moment, and we would have done a little more damage to this Sinop. Notice we're over 200k. I wasn't lying. We had half of our damage to gain, or more, yet in this match after using our last heal. I'm not sure about this build, by the way. This game in particular really made me concerned about only running 4 heals, but there's so many captain skills to take. We'll look at that at the end, but as always, secondary battleship, there's so many skills you want to take that I'm always changing my build up on these things. Yorktown coming over to finish us off, 2,000 HP left. Nope, not gonna get us quite yet, 327. This has come down to a pretty close game. Our Yorktown, I think, is AFK or something. Not sure, but it's very, very close here. Fortunately, the timer's about to tick out. We have a minute left on this match. And our Amagi, with pretty decent health, is doing a good job of pushing in and hopefully dealing with this Sinop. Not sure why the Mahan is taking a gunfight at this point. We should be ticking out on points soon anyway. I'm just trying to live and survive here. Hold on to those points stored in my ship, and hopefully we can win this game. But 229,000 damage, over 2 million potential damage in this one as well. Kraken. I mean, how is it possible that I got this kind of game after using all of my heals before even hitting 100,000 damage? But big thanks to that Amagi for finishing off that Sinop before I died to the carrier, and the Mahan died to the cruiser. 2 close quarters experts in this one, a bunch of secondary hits. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous game. These things are so tanky. Over 100k from those secondaries in raw damage. Absolutely wild. And a decent profit, albeit with blue boosters. So I think these ships really do need to push in. If we see all of them camping the back of the map, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. And I think that's probably what's going to happen, right? What happened when Maine came out, right? I played it, said it was such an amazing tank pushing ship. It could survive so much punishment and did so much good damage from those closer range engagements. And what do we see now? They're all camping the back of the map at 20 kilometers, kited away instantly. And I have a bad feeling that that's going to happen here as well. And these ships will be impossible to kill, much like Maine is at the back of the map. That's just the way people play, unfortunately. So I guess the question is should Wargaming be giving people such amazingly tanky ships that can push in, even if they know people won't push in? I don't know. At least this way the guns are not that powerful at longer ranges. They don't have the best characteristics. Certainly the damage isn't there. Certainly the accuracy leaves a lot to be desired as well, in my opinion. But that's probably a good thing. They do excel at close range, and a lot of that damage does come from those secondaries. Broadside Minnesota here, 12 380mm guns. Pretty good accuracy. They're no Citadel, but 25,000 damage. We will take it. And I haven't mentioned it yet, but let's talk about the acceleration on these things. It is so much easier to play around these islands. You'll notice that I'm constantly forward, reverse here. trying to throw off people's aim, and it's a great way to dodge incoming fire. A little harder on the Los Andes compared to the Libertad, thanks to our larger superstructure here. Certainly, the Libertad is a pretty tiny superstructure, and since that's mainly where people will be damaging you with lower caliber shells, going back and forth, being able to accelerate quickly and stop quickly by hitting an island and then go in reverse quickly again is a great way to avoid damage when you push in like this. Big thanks to the gearing for smoking us up, if you can div. Yeah, the smoked up Libertad, smoked up Los Andes or Ipiranga, they're going to be absolutely ridiculous here with this secondary power. Again, it's all about that ability to full pen with these secondaries. Compared to the Libertad, to talk more about these secondaries for a bit, you're missing one turret of the larger caliber on either side. So you still retain a lot of the damage potential, just not quite the full kit, I suppose. The firing angles are great, though. The main guns have 30-degree firing angles forward and back. That allows you to do a little bit better job angling, certainly, than the Libertad that has to give a little bit more broadside to fire all of its main guns. Similar when it comes to your secondary firing angles, 20 degrees forward gets you everything, and 23 degrees backwards gets you everything. A little bit worse on the Libertad, although it does have more guns, more secondaries to fire, so maybe that makes sense, I guess. But the unfortunate side of using this ship as a smoked up secondary bot is that you're not farming your combat instructions. The combat instructions are all about shooting your guns, hitting targets, and tanking damage, potential damage specifically. And I noticed that here in this specific instance, these guys are about to leave my secondary range. Sure would be nice if I had my buff charged up, wouldn't it? Where we could finish off maybe this Alaska with those secondaries. And since we're so close to our buff, I actually decide to shoot Richelieu here. Maybe very greedy, but I want to get this buff, and I was worried the Alaska would die to some of my teammates, and then I wouldn't get the credit for hitting him and then get this buff. So I use it instantly, and we get that amazing secondary firing range. It's like 14.5, something like that. Insane. 15 kilometers on Libertad, of course. Poor Hanover, man. The first one with the gimmick, and it's so much worse than these things. I mean, Hanover can still work, of course. It's got better main guns, more overmatch, even better accuracy than these. But, yeah, for these to be at such a low tier, certainly tier 9 ranked is going to be an experience with this ship. Enemy Libertad pushing, and unfortunately the mid was left open, and I personally didn't realize. So then we eat those torpedoes. Again, eat the torps, and you die rather quickly afterwards. So the Libertad getting on our flank here probably means we're dead, or we're just dead to this Freddy. But this is generally how I've been playing this ship, right? Just full sending it into cap zones, trying to make it work like that, and it's been a lot of fun that way. Certainly I've had bad games though too. Running into super ships as a tier 9 is not a good experience at all. That'll only be a surprise to Wargaming. All of you know that already, but for Wargaming, it's not actually that fun to fight super ships as a tier 9. They probably know that. Let's be honest, they want to just give the super ship players some tier 9s to beat up on. That's probably intentional here. All right, moving on, we do have a push around the north on this map. This is really the only spot you can play. And my rule, or I don't know about rule, but suggestion to play the side you spawned on is a little bit difficult in this ship. It's not a very good ship on the sea flank at all, unless you just full send open water, which even these ships will die very quickly. I mean, look at these secondaries hit this Hindenburg. Just some, like, another 3K. Like, they hit so hard. It's actually crazy. But I spawned middle here, and I went all the way over to this flank, which feels a little bad for helping our teammates. Maybe that's why we lost so badly here. I don't know. I certainly had more fun on this flank doing this, but maybe I cost our team the game doing that as well. I don't know how to deal with that, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be a ship that really needs island cover. It needs the right matchmaker. Ideally, no carriers or subs, right? I don't want to say you should just go to the flank that's going to work best for your ship, because that also means you're doing a better job of dealing damage and applying pressure to the enemy team. Certainly we're going to do a great job here, finishing off the Lepanto. And then our secondaries are even shooting at the NC over here. A little both sides action for you. So our ship is doing better here. Maybe I just die instantly in the middle. It's hard to tell. The map design does not always work well for these ships. In fact, it often doesn't. Certainly the Matchmaker doesn't like these ships very much if you're getting those up tiers. NC, flat broadside, and I've still got the HE, at least in this game. I was really trying it out. My theory, at least, is with bad dispersion and low AP alpha, the AP is not going to do that great, since you have to hit very small, specific portions of targets to actually deal damage. Considering the HE has around average HE damage, okay fire chance, and it doesn't really care where you hit, it just needs to hit anywhere on the ship to do some damage and get some fires. My thought is that maybe shooting HE more makes more sense with this ship, thanks to the relatively weak AP. And then you swap to it when people make mistakes, is the idea. It didn't really bear out that way, to be honest with you. I had a few insane salvos, and in our last clip, you're going to see that, where we do like 14k to a Satsuma with the HE. It's possible, but again, you're still weak on the dispersion, so it's not always going to happen. Using that buff, sometimes your secondaries just auto-fire at destroyers at like 14 kilometers. That's what happened at the end of that game. You'll notice I didn't really include many matches when it came to super ships. Actually, I think I have one more match after this one. A few fun little clips here at the end. But when super ships are in the game, it's tough, man. It really is. I tried to push for this island here, and we dealt with the Satsuma and Jacksonville on this flank. That seemed to happen a lot to me, actually, where if I spawned on a flank, not the middle, but either the right or left side, and yes, we still have that weak bow citadel, very, very fun. But if I spawned on the flank and I was a tier 9, and we spawned a bunch of tier 9s here, Riga, Orange here, the enemy team often got all their super ships, or most of their super ships, on that same flank. I mean, that has to be intentional by Wargaming, right? That has to be. Where you spawn the tier 9s against the super ships, so the super ship players have this super easy tier 9s to beat up on and win their flank for free. To me, maybe that's too tinfoil hat, like conspiracy theory, but it's so unfun, man. It sucks. I had multiple games like that playing Los Andes, and I mean, I tried to push. Look at that, 14.7k with HE. I wasn't. That's a lot. That's a lot with the HE. It's pretty impressive, but back to super ships, man. It's so unfun, man. At least let me fight the tier 9s, right? Maybe mirror spawns, so the super ships fight each other, the tier 9s fight each other, the tier 10s fight each other. We already mirror submarine spawns. They got rid of the sub spawning on opposite flanks because that was so unfun. Like it's very simple. It feels like there's just such basic things that we could be doing to make this game much better and more enjoyable to play. Very, very simple things. Not even removing carriers and subs, which I'm still all in favor of, but I know they'll never do that. Someone high up at Wargaming has decided we must have these in our game, even though they ruin the experience. But if we have to have super ships, don't spawn the tier 9s on the opposite side of super ships. As I say that, we do end up finishing off the Satsuma. It's a powerful ship still, but it's just not fun. Speaking of bad things about World of Warships, why are my secondaries not firing here? I can hit him with my main guns. It's not like he's impossible to target or impossible to hit. Why don't my secondaries shoot? Right? Very, very frustrating. They can only fire when the ship is fully surfaced, even though the secondaries, obviously, if I could shoot them, would do damage to the ship when it's at periscope depth. Very, very frustrating. Why is that there? I don't know. But hopefully we do help finish off this guy. I managed to push into the Thunderdome here, the A-cap on this map, early from the middle spawn, and really didn't get to do a whole lot. This game was turning into a blowout. You can see the main, the super ship, camping the back of the map. Very common. Very, 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 very common. We got triple sit into the Duncan, which feels pretty good, and our teammates finish him off. And I select my secondaries on the Republic instead of the main. Why would I need better accuracy on a ship at 0.8 kilometers with my secondaries? You don't. You really don't. You really should be sectoring your secondaries to a longer range target, especially when the Republic was broadside. That way, the worse accuracy actually benefits you. Maybe some of the shells from the secondaries go up into his upper bow and actually do pen damage, whereas right now, they're only hitting his belt and doing 0. Notice shells go short bug, very, very fun there on that first salvo into the rebuff. But now that he's angling to us, our secondaries are going to hit him in the stern, and we're going to do massive damage with those secondaries. Some more both sides action, and yeah, this game is obviously over, but I had to push their spawn, man, to even brawl it out against the super ships. I did not enjoy my time playing this ship against super ships, if you couldn't tell. Maybe I've gone a little too overboard on that, but it was so unfun, man. I did not get nearly this many super ship games in Libertad while playing it, and I played that ship even more than the Los Andes. It's weird. It feels like they're just saving tier 9s for super ship games sometimes. I was in a tier 9 queue for a minute and a half when there was more than enough ships to pull a queue, and guess what I got? I was pulled into super ships. It's like they were saving me for the super ship game. So annoying. I always get worried about long queues. Makes me feel like they're trying to pull me into super ships. Especially on tier 9. Okay. Okay, back to the ship then. I've probably talked about that enough. This thing is very powerful though. It's gonna be ridiculously strong in ranked game modes. Insane. Operations as well, a lot of fun to be had there. I think I might start doing more operations and ranked and alternate game modes on the second channel. I don't know. I live stream on that second YouTube channel, and some of these don't necessarily fit, you know, into the main channel where I want to talk about random battles because that's the most relevant to people learning how to play the game and how the ship performs in the most basic game mode. But if you're interested in that, it won't be post-commentary stuff. It'll be just stream highlights, but I might start uploading more stuff there, as well as just playing the game live if you want to come say hi. 381 mil guns, 33-second reload is, again, the weak point on this ship outside of the Matchmaker, but the secondary damage does make up for it. Here's the build that I was running. I really wanted the fire prevention. I don't know if that saved me more than having an extra heal or faster heal cooldown would, or just more healing in the 4th upgrade slot. I would love to be able to take even this skill. Like if I could have 3 more points, it'd be so nice. Getting the 5th heal eventually and still retaining fire prevention. And that's why this is more randoms focused. The brisk and concealment allows you to get across the map to a better position quicker and maybe not throw as much for your team by pushing an open water side of the map. Again, I'm not sure about that, but maybe not playing on the flank if it's a really bad flank for you. I'm really hesitant to recommend that though, because then we're just going to get people running insta from their flank, which I hate. But I don't know. But in ranked, I would not take conceal. I would also probably not take brisk. I would take vigilance, and I would take improved repair party readiness, I guess. Like I would remove brisk and take vigilance instead. Maybe I would take emergency repair instead of concealment, or I would take improved repair party readiness instead, and then I have 1 point left over for maybe preventive maintenance or even gun feeder. Again, I did like some of the HE salvos I had, so being able to swap shell types could be a nice thing to have as well. Lots and lots of opportunities for different builds here, and that's cool, but also it means the ship is very demanding on the build, so you need a good high-level commander. Obviously, this guy is incredible, giving you those insane secondary buffs, speed buffs, consumable, your combat instruction buff to get 20% instantly. Very, very strong. Secondary build, of course, on this thing. What else was it really going to be? I don't think it's going to work out any other way. And something you should know about this one is we actually have a waterline citadel, I believe. That's why you may be wondering, how did that Republic not citadel me on that last match? It's because it's waterline, guys. It's a little bit lower in the water, so makes that Satsuma bow citadel even more RNG. Not to be too frustrated about that, but you know, that'll happen. Libertad is higher above water, right? It's more armored, more angled, but you know, this one being waterline has its advantages, I suppose. So this is not actually citadel here. And so that'll help save you a decent amount of HP. This one actually has angled plating inside, so it's even more spaced armor? Oh, interesting. Spaced. Wait, is it just better? 51 plus 381? 406 plus... Oh, okay, so there still is some spaced armor here. But does this count as well? 51, 50... Oh, interesting. This one... I think it's better protected. Lower in the water, more armor. Yeah. More armor, lower in the water. And 3 armor plates instead of just 2. There's 2 spaced armor cavities, we'll say. Interesting. Wow, this thing is going to run tier 9 ranked. Oh my goodness, that's insane. Well, that'll be fun. I'll have to try that. The rest of the armor is absolutely amazing as well. Will these things get nerfed? I don't know. Personally, I both think they could easily get nerfed because they are overpowered. Don't get me wrong, they're overpowered. But if the goal is to have a ship class or ship type that can push in random battles and not be inting or just intentionally dying and throwing the game for your teammates, I don't think they need a nerf. I hope that's not too hot a take, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Opinions obviously can change. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.